Hey, both of you. I'm Colonel. Today we're going to be talking about the force in Ultimate Frisbee and how to use it as your defensive strategy for your team. So if you look at our players here, if the mark stands directly in front of the person with the Frisbee, it's really easy for the cutter to cut to either side and get the disc. They can cut for a forehand throw and be thrown the disc, or they can cut for a backhand throw and get the disc. And because they have both of these options, it's really hard for their defender to know which way to guard them, and they're sort of always chasing, and because of that, that cutter will always be open. But if the mark and the defender are on the same page about what side of the field they want the action to happen on, or what side of the field they're trying to force the disc into, it's going to be really easy for the mark to push the disc in that direction and for the cutter to be in that space. So the force is a way of playing defense where you draw an invisible line right down the field through the middle of the thrower, and you're going to say that one side of that thrower, one side of the field is going to be the force side, and we're forcing the disc to go over there. We want the disc on that side of the field, and the other side is the break side of the field, and we don't want the disc to go over there. So if we're forcing home or to the right side of the screen, by standing on the left side of the thrower, we're making throws to that side of the field much more difficult than if we were standing straight in front of them. And so we can start to force those throws over onto that force side of the field. And once we do that, it's very easy for our defenders to anticipate that the throws are going to go to this force side of the field. And when we position ourselves in that force side, we can usually get to those throws before the cutters can. And that's the force working. So the force has two directions. You can either force someone to throw a forehand, or you can force someone to throw a backhand throw. A lot of times in recreational leagues, people like to force forehand because for a lot of newer players, that's the harder throw. And so by taking away their easy backhand, you're making them throw a throw that they're probably not as good as at throwing. The easy way to remember this, rather than have to come down on the field and think about if they're right-handed or left-handed, what's happening, most teams call out force home or force away. And that's a really simple way of saying home is the side of the field with all your people on it, all your stuff on it. So wherever most of your sidelines standing, wherever you guys huddled up at the beginning of the game, where you parked or whatever, that's home. And the other side, where there's not much going on, that's away. So when you line up and get ready to play defense, somebody's going to say, hey, let's force home, or hey, let's force away. So if you're guarding that person with the disc and the force is home, you always want to be standing in a spot where you can force them home, or you can push them home. And I hear people confuse themselves with which way you should be facing in your body when you hear, and I think it gets more confusing. The easiest way to think about it is wherever your force is, push them there. You want to stand in a spot where you can literally push them, although don't push because contact's a foul. But stand in a place where you're facing to push them toward whatever home or away your team is forcing. Downfield, if you're guarding anyone who doesn't have the disc, if we're working together with that mark, in theory, the throw's probably going to go to that easier open side of the field, the force side, and getting a throw over to that break side requires some pretty tricky throws or some clever maneuvers to get around that mark if they're forcing properly. And so as a defender, if you position yourself on the force side, so if we're forcing home, if you go on the home side of your cutter, it's going to be hard for them to get into that space in front of you, and so it's going to be really hard for the thrower to get them the disc. The same is true for forcing backhand. We move around and we're giving the thrower that upfield backhand throw, but we know that our defenders are going to anticipate that and be able to stop that throw. So when the force breaks down is if the marker and the defenders aren't on the same page. So if the force is home to the right side of the screen and the defenders are on the wrong side of their player, what that's going to do is that's going to let an easy throw from that thrower go to the force side where they're going to be wide open to get the disc. And the same is true for forcing backhand and the defender is on the wrong side of the cutter. If we're giving them that open backhand throw, we better be there before them. Otherwise, it's going to be an easy completion and an easy gain of yards. So that's the whole concept of the force. We're picking one side of the field and drawing an invisible line right through the center of the thrower. And we're saying, you can throw onto this side of the field because we're going to be ready to defend it. But you can't throw on this side of the field because I'm going to stop you from doing that. And so good teams will find ways to break these marks and throw over to that open side of the field, and good things happen when you're over there. But if your team works together and uses the force, it's going to be harder to get throws over there, and the easy throws are going to be the ones that are really easy for us to defend. That's it. If you've got any questions about this, throw them in the comments below. Hopefully this made things a little easier to understand, and if not, sorry for yet another explanation of the force. I'm the Colonel. See you soon. That and be able to stop that throw. Now there's somebody right outside the door. Makes me nervous. I gotta stop talking. It's weird. I'm gonna act like I'm not filming in case this guy looks in here. Just on my computer, doing computer things. Okay, coast is clear.